So I hope you guys liked the little intro clip there. So this here is my 1986 Toyota Supra Turbo. It is the Zenki model, so it's a pre-facelift, so it has the gap right there, the different mirrors, different wing, and two-piece tail lights instead of the three. Oh, say hi to the cow and the little baby cow. But car's just warming up from moving it up the driveway just a second ago. But I have some like ESR Work S1 kind of knockoff wheels, but ain't got $3 grand laying around for wheels. But car does need a repaint, but when you take into account that this is original paint, I hear you. She's zooming. But when you take into account that this is original paint and it's 40 years old, then it kind of looks pretty good. But it can use a respray. Here, I'll go and pop the hood for you guys. It's warmed up long enough, and I'll go and show you guys inside. So this is the white on burgundy. If you guys remember my previous Supra, that one was black on black, which is super cool spec. But I can officially say now too that I've owned every spec of Mk3Supra out there. I've owned black on black Targa. I've owned a red on gray sunroof, and now I have a white on burgundy hardtop. So that's pretty funny. Oh yeah, hood, forgot that. Well, I'm also gonna give the car a wash today after we do a little bit of work on it, just because I might be going out to a little show this evening, which I might bring the camera along to if I do that. But hopefully my steering wheel hub arrives today, because I want to bring that, put on my new steering wheel to go on to that event, which I'll save for later, another video. But here's the engine. Not too much going on in here, just mainly stock, head bolts, head gasket. That's it. Yep. But car is really in really good shape, just because this one was an auto that's been swapped to manual. It's original turbo car, but it's been swapped to manual, which I think is the best way to get one of these personally, just because if you do that, then most of the time you're getting a lower mileage car for a lower price, and then it hasn't been ragged on as hard as a manual car, because my last two were turbo manuals and they both had upwards of 200,000 miles, and you could feel it in the chassis when you drove it hard. Granted, you could fix all of that, but that takes time and a lot of money. But this chassis has 77,000 miles on it. Yes, you heard me right. 77,000 miles on a 40-plus-year-old chassis, which is astounding. But it does show it. So there's a little bit of things we have to fix. So like the wiring harness back there, it's just the plastic's cracking a little bit from the heat and stuff like that. But as for engine mods, what I plan to do to this one, my last car, sucks I didn't get to make a video on it, but I ended up doing a big turbo build, stuff like that, and big injectors, fuel pump. Actually, I'm gonna go in the garage for a second, so it's not as windy. But I did big fuel injectors, big fuel pump, big turbo, and was making about 400-ish, but it just became too unreliable. So this one will just be keeping the 7M stock, and then in the meantime, saving up for preferably a 1J VVTi. And I kind of want to do something that no one's ever done to a 1J before, just because it's very similar to a RB25. So I'm curious if the independent throttle bodies from an RB25 can be crossed over to a 1JZ somehow. Like, it would need a adapting plate of sorts and some other stuff, but I think that would be pretty sick. A little, like, revving a 9-10 grand maybe, a 1J VVTi with independent throttle bodies with turbo, that would be sick. But let me know what you guys think about that. But today, on to the main topic, I'll be showing you guys how to raise your coilover. So this side, it looks good. However, it's just a bit too low. As you can see, like a little bit, my fender is getting pulled right here. So we're just gonna raise it up a little bit. And we're also gonna be addressing another problem because I've raised this car before. Oh, wind gust. But I've raised this car before. However, I guess since I'm in Florida, we have very salty air. Like the two collars on the, actually I'll explain it to you after I get the wheels pulled off. But we're gonna go ahead and jack it up and pull both wheels off, and we might like pull some missed things apart and clean a few things up. I cleaned up a bunch of stuff with the radiator yesterday, so it like looks a lot better up front now. It used to be like I'll have a lot of surface rust on it, but cleaned all that up now. But let's go ahead and get this side raised up, because this side's about 1.5 fingers high, which is like, it looks a little bit high with these tires, but keep in mind these are tires from the previous owner. I typically like to run a bit more of a meaty stance, so when I get new tires at the current height I'm at, it'll probably look really good. But I like how I am for height on cars is I like to be able to go fast without thinking I'm gonna tear off my whole front bumper. So that's, well, like usually about 1.5 to 2 fingers. But I'm gonna go and pull out a bunch of tools, and I'll get you guys set up on a tripod and we'll get started. Alright, so we're about to get started here, and here's this list of tools that you will need to raise your coilovers. So first off, a set of coilover wrenches. Usually your coilovers will come with a set of wrenches, however my coils came on the car, so I went out and bought this set of wrenches online. Then next you'll need a lug nut wrench or socket. Mine has security keys on there, so here is the key to remove it, and this here's a socket that fits around that. We're sticking to hand tools today, Chris Fix garage style, so standard torque wrench. Gloves are optional. And then you'll need a good working digital set of calipers, or digital caliper, and knee pad, and then 2 jacks. I already have the other jack oriented on the other side. I can't find my jack stand, so I'm probably just gonna put my wheels under the car just for while I have it up. Don't plan to have it up for too long, so we should be good. Damn, this wind is so strong. I'm gonna set you guys up on a tripod and get to work. Almost forgot, put wheel chocks behind your wheels. All good. So you just want to jack the car up a little bit until just get the pressure off the lug nuts. And now you want to go ahead and break the pressure on your lug nuts, but leave them on. Do not take them off all the way. Alright, so the lugs are off on the other side. Now go ahead and pull this wheel off. And now is a good time, while you're in there adjusting your coilovers, to go ahead and check out your brake pads, your brake lines too, just because if this is one of your first cars, most likely they've never been checked before. So just good habit to go ahead and check that while you're in there. And you notice I'm not going in the star pattern, I'm just going in a random pattern. That's because the wheel's already loose, so it doesn't really matter. One little habit I like to do now is I'll usually buy multiple sets of these security lug nuts when I'm at the store buying one, and mainly for these. And I'll keep one in my toolbox, one in my car, just because one time I was going across Florida, the state of Florida, and my wheel came loose and I didn't have my security key with me. It was in my toolbox at home because I was working on my car. So I had to like catch an Uber to an AutoZone and buy another set of lug nuts. So lesson learned. One key for the car, one key for the toolbox. So here's your basic workings of your coilover. Up top, under this little cap, you have your compression ratio. So this here, or your dampening, I guess, more like. So this will control how stiff your coilover is. So if you're going over a bump, how quickly you'll rebound it. So if it's rebounds it very fast, then technically it's stiff. If it rebounds very slow, then it's very more towards a comfort ride. I have mine a bit in the middle. I believe it clicks out to 32. I have it on like 25 in the front and then like 17 in the rear, but something like 17 or 19 in the rear, something like that. But and then this adjustment here at the bottom, this is to adjust your ride height. And then if you have the step up from these coilovers, you'll have, or the camber plate, then you'll have camber adjustment up here. I don't have the camber plates up there, so we'll just be messing with this today. So here is where, technically, since I have one side set to the height I want already, I will go to the other side, take my digital calipers and measure. I usually measure from about here, this little lip right there, to the bottom of this and see how far that is. And then I'll come back on this side, measure this side, and then adjust this side to where it's the same as that one. And now the problem I think I'm having with these, which is why this side's lower than that one, because I set them the same height already. However, since Florida, we have very salty air, and these are aluminum, these are actually like kind of seized together. So instead of this locking this one up top, these just spin out as one whole unit. So I need to break those loose, and the solution to fix that is I'm going to take some anti-seize and just rub it on the top of these so that they don't seize up like that again. So yeah, let's go ahead and break those loose. So it's gonna be kind of hard to film what I'm doing in here while I'm working in here, so I'm just gonna try to set you guys up at a good angle. But like I said earlier, I'm just measuring from this little lip up. And you want to make sure your calipers are zeroed out before you start. About 31.5 millimeters on this side. So that's what we need to set that side to. So let's go ahead and go back over there and set it up. Now with your coilovers, you'll want to measure this one before you start adjusting it, just because with these, especially, we're talking about like half a finger measurement, like is very precise. So we'll probably only need to raise this about 1 or 2 millimeters, to be honest. So first, let's go ahead and measure out where we are, and then just break these loose and go from there. So I'm sorry, I forgot to set the camera up when I was measuring this side, but see what I was saying? That side was 31.5. This side is 32 millimeters, so we only have to raise it 0.5 of a millimeter on this side, which is a stupid small adjustment, but we'll go ahead and get started with that. I went ahead and broke this collar loose, so I'll be able to torque it up on this time, make sure it's nice and tight. It shouldn't move around, because that was a little weird how it was moving before. But let's go back to this side and check how tight this side. Okay, yeah, so that's about right. Just because I do have it a little bit on the higher side, but just because I like to be able to drive and not rip off body panels off my car. But oh yeah, and while we have the wheel off, we're gonna go ahead and fix this little pull right here, because that's partially why I'm raising the car. I don't want to pull my fenders. And then also we're gonna check out our brakes and our brake lines. So far our brake lines are pretty good, okay, but we'll go a little deeper. All right, so let's go ahead and, so we need this to go up. So let me turn it this way. Nope, the other way, okay. To be honest, that's probably all we'll need. That might even be too high. Aw, damn, I wasn't recording. Well, anyways, I just set this up to 32 millimeters, and I raised that side 0.5 millimeters, so what's called match it. So let's go ahead and check out our brake lines while we're in here. Okay, for the most part, they can use replacing down the road, just because it is a 40-year-old car. Do plan on switching out my sway bar for a stiffer one, front and rear, and eventually plan on going with the Mercedes SL 500 brakes. But yeah, pad life looks okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and check out the other side, and we'll throw on our wheels. And since we're cleaning up the car, I might go and take this opportunity to wash behind the wheels too, just get all that cleaned up while I have them off, and maybe clean in here a little bit. But yeah.